Okay, so let's start. Self-evaluation, polygraph, or forensic pipe. Okay, question number 1. Scientific methods of detecting deception done with the aid of a polygraph instrument. Letter A, polygraphy. Letter B, polygraph. Letter C, lie detector. Or letter D, truth verifier. Number 2, it measures systolic blood pressure as a means of determining whether a suspect was lying during an interrogation. Letter A, Sphygmomanometer. Letter B, Emotograph. Letter C, Kymograph. Or letter D, Galvanometer. Next, number 3. Referring to the downward blood pressure, representing the low pressure to the closing of the valves and heart relax. Letter A, diastolic blood pressure. Letter B, electrodermal response. Letter C, dicrotic knots, I should say. Or letter D, none of them. Question number 4. A series of groups of nerve cells of the brain that control the entire endocrine-hormonal system. Letter A, homeostasis. Letter B, hypothalamus. Letter C, epinephrine. Or letter D, norepinephrine. Norepinephrine, I should say letter D. Number 5. Cesare Lombroso was the first to experiment with a device measuring blood pressure in falls to detect deception in criminal suspects. He called it letter A, Sphygmograph. Letter B, Hydrosphygmograph. Letter C, Cardiograph. Or letter D, Pneumograph. Press 10 tayo, press 10. Press 10 SS, ladies and gentlemen, who are joining today. Press 10 SS. Yan. So that is your additional points para sa mga naki-join sa ating online. Number 6, designed to detect changes in the cardiovascular activity of the subject. Letter A, Kymograph. Letter B, Galvanograph. Letter C, Pneumograph. Or letter D, Cardiosphygmograph. Number 7, polygraphs, usually termed as lie detector, is an instrument that monitors a person's psychological reactions. Which of the following is correct? Letter A, this instrument can detect lies. Letter B, it can only detect whether deception, wait, hindi natin makita. Deceptive pala. I repeat, letter B, it can only detect whether deceptive behavior is being displayed. Letter C, this instrument does not detect lies. Or letter D, both B and C. Next, number 8. Nasipnut. Yeah. Number 8. Located inside the instrument that receives the reactions detected by the corrugated tube and moves the pen to record the reactions on the chart. Letter A, rubber convoluted tube. Letter B, sensitivity knob. Letter C, Pneumo Module. Or letter D, bend. Number 9. This instrument records changes of breathing of the subject. It consists of transducers and tubes which are fastened around the subject's abdominal and thoracic part of the body. Letter A, pneumograph. Letter B, galvanograph. Or letter C, cardiosphygmograph. Or letter D, kymograph. Number 10. It is a motor that pulls or drives the chart paper under the recording pen simultaneously at the rate of 5 seconds per vertical chart division or 12 divisions in 1 minute run. Letter A, pneumograph. Letter B, galvanograph. Letter C, cardiosphygmograph. Or letter D, kymograph. Number 11. Which of the following are the use of polygraph? Letter A, it is an investigative aid for the investigator. Letter B, confirm the statements of the victims. Letter C, ascertain the credibility of witnesses. Or letter D, all of them. Okay, para sa mga hindi pa nakapag-press 10, press 10 tayo, press 10, then SS nyo yan. Press 10, SS. Number 12, general rules in formulating test questions. Letter A, question must be simple and direct. Letter B, they must not involve legal terminologies. Letter C, they must be as simple and as short as possible. Letter D, answerable by yes or no. Medyo may pagkakamali tayo sa question number 12. Dapat sana dito, there must be an statement except. Okay? Since hindi nakalagay yung except, siguro we will make this as a bonus. So, number 12 supposed to be general rules in formulating test question except. Pero walang nakalagay na except, so we will make this question number 12 as bonus. So, wag nyo nang sagutan. Just put your answer in letter A. Letter A na lang yung magiging sagot natin sa number 12. Letter A, wag niyong ilagay na bonus sa link. Just answer letter A. Okay. Number 13. Polygraph is not a lie detector, but it is a scientific diagnostic instrument. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. Letter C, may be true. Or letter D, may be false. 14. Subject is instructed not to give any verbal answer. The subject will only answer in his mind. Anong klaseng test ito? Letter A, stimulation test. Letter B, silent answer test. Letter C, guilt complex test. Or letter D, acquaintance test. Okay, number 15. These are direct questions having an extreme and specific relationship to the crime or matter under investigation, and these are primary or key questions asked by the examiner in order to solve a specific issue. Letter A, a relevant question. Letter B, relevant question. Letter C, simple question. Or letter D, tricky question. An interview or an interrogation. Hintayin lang natin mga. An interview or an interrogation administered by a polygraph examiner after the test designed to obtain confession or admission by the subject? Letter A, pre-test interview. Letter B, in-test. Letter C, post-test interview. Or letter D, preliminary test. 17. What markings indicates the start of the test, referring to the polygraph test? Okay? Anong unang marka sa ating polygraph chart paper? Anong unang imamarka doon para indicating na mag-uumpisa na yung polygraph test? Letter A, to capital letter XX. Letter B, capital letter X. Letter C, capital letter X, 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 and letter D, capital letter X, 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 and X. Yan, mamili kayo, A, B, C, or D. Number 18, what marking will indicate that the subject answers the stimulus with no? So, ano ang imamarka natin sa chart paper kapag no ang sagot ng ating subject? Letter A, plus sign. Letter B, equal sign. Letter C, negative sign. Or letter D, asterisk. 19. Which of the following is considered as secondary markings? Letter A, plus sign. Letter B, equal sign. Letter C, negative sign. Or letter D, capital letter M. Number 20, a psychological change. Number 20, a physiological change that occurs following and is attributable to the presentation of applied stimulus. Letter A, response. Letter B, reaction. Letter C, simple question. Or letter D, tricky question. Tapos na? Next, number 21, para mabilis tayo. The procedure wherein each component tracing is separately evaluated by comparing the response of a relevant question to the response of a comparison question. Letter A, spot analysis. Letter B, response latency. Letter C, response amplitude. Or letter D, recovery. He developed the metal bellows and Kymograph that fold a chart paper at a constant speed under recording pens from a roll of chart located inside the instrument, referring to the polygraph instrument. Sinong nakaimbento ng Kymograph? Letter A, Leonarde Keeler. Letter B, Harold Burtt. Letter C, John A. Larson. Or letter D, Dr. William A. Marston. 23. The change in the body's resistance to the passage of immediate electrical sensory current. Letter A, response latency. Letter B, response amplitude. Letter C, galvanic skin response. Or letter D, none of them. A question that has no connection with the matter under investigation and deals with known facts that the subject cannot be denied. A, irrelevant question. Letter B, relevant question. Letter C, simple question. Or letter D, tricky question. Number 25, the last question. These are primary or key questions asked by the examiner in order to solve a specific issue. Letter A, irrelevant question. Letter B, relevant question. Letter C, simple question. Or letter D, tricky question. So, natapos na natin ang ating self-evaluation sa araw na ito. Good luck sa pagsagot. As I've said, ang deadline for the submission of your answer is up to 12 o'clock midnight. Why? Because we are going to give due consideration para sa mga nagtratrabaho o kaya para sa mga busy sa oras na ito. Okay, so para naman sa mga present ngayon, huwag kayong mag-alala because I will give you additional points. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, press 5, that is additional 5 points. SS nyo na. Kung hindi ka pa kayo nakapag-press 5 kanina, press 5 nyo na ngayon. At secondly, press 10, another additional points para lamang ito sa mga present ngayon. Kasi gusto ko kasi na hanggat maaari ay we have to deal in face-to-face. No, deal in. Hindi tayo makapag face-to-face ngayon. I want to see you present today because in the next semester, hindi na tayo magbibigay ng due consideration sa mga hindi present kasi unfair naman sa mga present ngayon na nagsasakripisyo sa kanilang oras. Para sa mga nagtatrabaho o kaya walang time later on second semester, first semester, bibigyan na lang natin ng ibang set of question. Kasi as much as possible, I want to see the legitimacy of your answer. Okay? So, hinay-hinay na lang tayo. Next semester siguro mag-implement tayo ng another rule. Pero since nasa second semester, nakakalito na, no? First semester pala, next semester. Kasi second semester ngayon. Okay? So, ganoon na nga. Para sa mga nagtatanong kung kailan isasubmit yung sagot, 12 o'clock, midnight. Para sa mga present ngayon, press 5 at press 10. This will be your reward. Okay? So, 3 o'clock tayo mamaya para sa subject na Criminology 5. Okay? See you again at 3 o'clock p.m. Have a nice day, everyone. Magandang araw. Maraming salamat at stay safe tayong lahat. Okay? See you again. Bye-bye.